Hello and welcome back to my channel. I thought we'd have a bit of a chat. I've got a cup of tea. If you haven't already got a cup of tea, like seriously, what are you doing with your life? Press pause on this video, get yourself a tea, coffee, hot chocolate, I don't care, as long as it's a mug, we can get started. During this time of isolation, it got me thinking about who I've become and what I've achieved, being a third year mental health nursing student, something that I never thought would ever really happen. But it's also got me looking back at my secondary school years. And I think that's because I've been watching Educating Greater Manchester. If that's a series you've never watched, watch it. It highlights the issues that kids do go through. I hated secondary school. When I look back at secondary school, I just think of dread and hating it, and I think I have built it up more in my head than it actually was, maybe. I think this is because I look back to who I was then, and I was completely different to who I am today, and I would never act like I was. I was very much a follower. I was not a leader. I would follow every single trend. Knee-high socks. What else was a thing? Knee-high socks, load of foundation, vaping. And I would kind of just follow those trends and would be very easily persuaded to do something, even if it's something I didn't want to do. I was also a very shy, goody two-shoes kid. In my school, it was definitely one of those schools that had groups. You had popular people, you had the groups in the middle, you had the unpopular group, you had the group that wanted to be popular but they weren't, or what have you. And you definitely did have different groups, which I hated. I hated being labelled as a group and going through the hormones, the wanting to be liked. I also had something different that no other kid in my school was going through, and that was having a phobia of rain. And I think I would be probably safe to say that I might have been the only one in my school. It wasn't just something, if you're scared of the dark, you put the nightlight on and it's better. It wasn't like that at all. It was a dark cloud. I could see a dark cloud from my English class and I could see it coming towards us and I would start to panic. In the first 2, maybe 3 years of secondary school, out of the 5, I would be having constant panic attacks. To the point where I would literally be in the middle of school and I had to leave the classroom. I had to go to my pastoral support team. I'm very lucky that we did have a pastoral team. We have 4 members of staff and they were all fantastic. But when you're 11 and you're going to a brand new school, I didn't know anyone, I knew 2 kids. I decided to go to school where I didn't know anyone, so they didn't know this. And I think at 11, there's quite a number of kids that may have not really known what panic attack was. And I was kind of just seen as that kid that would cry a lot or have a meltdown or maybe a tantrum in the middle of a class. And the thing is that if they didn't know why I was having a panic attack or anything like that, it was another thing having a phobia of rain, and you knew yourself that it was irrational. You knew you didn't understand yourself why you were scared. I struggled with that a lot, and if I didn't understand, how were people around me gonna even understand it more? I was known as the girl that cried a lot, and this kind of tampered my confidence. Now I would be quite known as quite confident. Growing up, I realised that when I look back, I kind of just let people walk over me a bit more and would be called things that would have been seen as banter, but it wasn't. I was known as the dumb friend. I Really struggled with exams, and later in sixth form I found that actually I was like tested, my brain processes quite a bit slower than the average brain, and it wasn't that listening or trying, but it's because I just, the time that we were given an exam, I couldn't get out what I wanted to say and what I wanted to do in the time they gave me. My friends were in higher sets, but I wasn't in that, and I wouldn't be trusted in what I said, even if it might have been right. I would be ignored. They constantly told me I couldn't be a nurse because I needed a really high grade in GCSE so I could get a biology A level, and I was wearing wasn't cool. If my foundation was not on properly or my makeup wasn't right, I would be talking to more boys than them. Or I did have boyfriends at secondary school and was called a slut because of that. 3 months after secondary school finished, after year 11, I went to an all boys school. Banter was strong, but I knew they still looked out for me. For when you're not being involved in conversations and you're kind of being blanked because you're in lower sets is a different matter. In year 11, this is where I decided that actually not, like, this is not okay. I grew up with my friend from year 7, and she wasn't in my friendship group. So I would only really see her in classes, some lunchtime, say hello, we walked to school. But in year 11, that kind of all changed, and I started hanging out with her every break, every lunch, until she was kind of sick of me, and I'm still stuck with her, and she's still stuck with me now. Hazel was definitely my rock when I was at secondary school. She definitely didn't get my anxiety, but I don't think any kid did, but she didn't judge me for it. She didn't give an absolute donkey's arse of what people thought of her, and I loved that. And we would have our arguments, and she is very stubborn, but she taught me to be stubborn and kind of stick up for myself. You mess with her, you mess with me, and vice versa, and we do look out for each other. I was still struggling with my phobia of rain at year 11, so I was 15, 16. I was still kind of dealing with that fear. I had my maths teacher tell me that I needed to go and sort it out and get therapy, and I was like, and I had to change classes after that. But my science teacher, Miss Thompson, man, if this gets to you, thank you for everything. She would stay behind class. She knew I wanted to be a nurse, and you know what, when people tell me I can't do it, I kind of think of her voice and my English teacher, Miss Gotham's voice, and I'm like, okay, I can. If I have a moment, I think of those two voices and I'm like, no, I can do it. The day before I started sixth form college in Southampton, we got a phone call saying Dad was going to be moved, but we were only an hour away, and I was so ready. We started looking at sixth forms, and the only one was a sixth form which was pretty much all boys. The day I went and visited, I knew I wouldn't turn back. I met the head of year, and he was brilliant. He just showed me around and was so fantastic and amazing, and like, oh my goodness, just, I don't think my sixth form realises, I don't think any of the guys I hung out with, my friends, realise how much I needed that. I made sure I wasn't known as the girl who was scared of rain or the girl who always cried. And you know what? I wish they kind of did, in a way, because I felt like I was kind of forcing something down. If I was feeling anxious, I would usually just go to the girls' toilet. But after a year in, my confidence skyrocketed. I wore stuff that I wanted to wear, and you know, I didn't care what other people thought. And I'm not in touch with every friend that I made there. I don't think I would be where I am without my sixth form and without the support I got there, because I remember on my 18th birthday when I had my mates over, I just felt the highest I had ever felt, and felt the love, and I just felt like, right, this is me, like I'm just being myself, and I've been able to carry that through. And sixth form were literally the best 2 years of my life because of that. Hello, it is future editing Tara, who realised that she forgot to actually end this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've been able to relate to it. If you have any stories, message me, comment down below. Other people will probably be able to relate as well. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe.